What are operating systems? We've talked about this. Simply, when we talk about an operating system, we are talking about what? Software or programs that run in the background of a computer and manages basic functions. Software, first of all, operating systems are what? Software. Next, operating systems are software that run in the background of the computer. Next, what are they doing? They're managing basic functions of your computer. So operating system is helping in one way or the other in converting my voice into digital signals so that the computer can understand. And in that conversion now, you can also hear at the end by the conversion from digital back to analog. So these are things we've learned. Next, some some prominent operating systems we have is Windows. So like what I'm using, Windows. Yeah, we have Mac OS, or people call it Apple and all of that. We have Linux, that's much kind of robust, complicated. Ubuntu, the same thing. So different thing. You also have Android. You have a number of other operating systems depending on the kind of computer. It could be a phone, it could be a watch. They have different kind of operating systems in them, just upgraded or downgraded versions of most of these ones. And next, very importantly, you can be asked what are some of the tasks performed by operating systems. First, it allows communication between the user and the computer system. The only way I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because I have an operating system in my computer. Next, it controls what? Input and output and checking of storage operations. So me speaking and you hearing on the other end is because I have operating system that is able to coordinate these activities and then controls the loading, running, storage of application programs. So it controls loading. So it's mainly like the manager. It manages things in your computer, as if you want to put it in a short form. So the loading, the input, the storage, and different applications. And then it also deals with errors that occur in application programs. So when you're running with running your computer, at times an error will pop up, or this thing needs to be updated, or your computer, your software crashed. This is because you have an operating system that is able to recognize some of these things, and it's able to tell you and help in fixing it. And also, the operating system maintains security in the whole computer system. Very important. Next, the operating system what keeps detailed computer usage. So whatever you're doing, your operating system keeps track of that, and it helps in the future errors. Still on operating systems, we're going to dive a little bit more into user interfaces. When we talk about operating system, there are different ways you can access, or different ways operating systems allow you to communicate with them. That's typically what we look at when you talk about user interface. So it helps you to communicate with your computer. Basically, the main ones we have is command line interface, CLI, which is this. The next one we have is a graphical user interface, which is something like your phone, your computer. And then we have a dialogue-based user interface. This one, you speak, your computer listens, recognizes. That's for people who cannot see, and then does what you want it to do. And then we have gesture-based user interface. For a gesture, maybe you smile, maybe you shake your head, maybe you wave your hands. Those are gesture-based user interfaces, and they are used for specific applications. Now, I'll just run down a brief comparison of these user interfaces. Firstly, the command line interface, as you can see clearly, just lines of code. They are complicated to use, that I can tell you. You need to remember a lot of things. So the user needs to learn a lot of commands. The user is what? In direct communication with the computer. You can use when you're working with the command line interface, you can do almost anything with your computer. You can destroy it as well, you can make it work nicely. So the user can alter computer configuration settings, like I said, and then the command line interface uses very little memory. So that's one advantage for the CLI. Next, we are looking at the graphical user interface. This is a graphical user interface. What I'm using is a graphical user interface. Your phone has a graphical interface, your computer, so yes. Most computers have both graphical and CLI. You can access the CLI through your command prompt, so that's like a CLI. So it allows communication between user and computer using what icons. So you have icons on your desktop you can click on to do different things. Users uses technologies like Windows icons, menu, and pointing devices, still saying the same thing from above. So it enables you to mouse. So this is a mouse I'm moving around, or this pointer. So it's because I'm using a graphical user interface. Next, we have the dialogue-based user interface. As I said, speak, something happens, wave, something happens, smile or shake your head or move in a certain direction. Those are gestures, right? So that's what it basically does. So it uses the human voice to give commands to a computer system. Mainly, the human voice is one of the main aspects of a gesture-based user interface. So it could be modern cars here, can say turn on the car. Those who have Apple phones, those like Siri, can you play music? Those who have Android phones, at times like Google, can you help me do this? Those kind of stuff, and it actually does it. Those are sort of gesture-based user interfaces. So, like I always say, computers, all of these things are around you. These are things, if you look at it, look at the big picture, you will not forget. So, because they are always around you. So we also have a gesture-based user interface. We make use of computer vision and image processing. Uses gestures like moving of hands or heads to allow humans to what interface with a computer without need for any what mechanical devices. So these are also another type of operating system. Next important thing, you can be asked to differentiate contrast between CLI, or they can just say compare command line interface and the graphical user interface. When they say compare advantages and disadvantages, that's the meaning of comparison. What is good about this? What is good about that? What is bad about it? What is bad about that? So this is what they mean by compare. So like I said, CLI, what user is in what direct communication with the computer, and it uses little computer space. So these are very key advantages, and when you go to disadvantages, you need to learn many commands. The disadvantage takes a lot of time to complete simple tasks. So people who do a lot of coding and all of that, people who do hacking, there is ethical hacking. So you have to learn to understand some of these aspects because they help you to get into the computer system directly. And then we have the GUI, or graphical user interface. Very easy to use. One advantage, user does not need to learn any commands. Program can be accessed by simply clicking what icons. If you click on Google Chrome, it opens up. You click on Google Maps, it opens up. So it uses up a lot of computer space. That's the problem. You need to install a large operating system which uses up computer space. At times you buy a phone, they say this phone is how many gig. You discover that almost half of it has already been taken by your operating system. That's what we're talking about here. Then user is what restricted to only icons on screen. That's a problem. Next, we're looking at dialogue-based interface. First, very useful for disabled people, yes. No need for physical contact with the system. Voice recognition can be used on security systems. You go home, just speak, your alarm recognizes your voice and or your door recognizes your voice and it opens. Disadvantages, user needs to learn and only use acceptable commands. Word or speech must be very clear, and repetition of what is often what needed. That's the problem with some of these things. Everything has its advantages and disadvantages. Next, gesture based interfaces. Like I said, you need to learn a number of commands. Now you have to be natural and intuitive, so no physical contact needed. You just have to, the certain ways you move for it to recognize what you're doing. And then it usually where hands are dirty or occupied. So you can wave at times to answer a phone call. You can wave at times to wake up the screen of your computer. That's a gesture-based interface. And then disadvantages of unintentional movement by users can be what? Picked up. So at times you can just move your hand across and something happens, whereas it was not planned. That's what we're talking about here. Next, users need to be what? Very close to the system to work well. And that rounds it up. Next, we'll look at some questions in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe. Bye bye.